Joe, I don't know about that. Born to play the blues. No, that's hideously white, man. Oh, dear. Well, welcome everyone to the wild subjugation of the keyboard. Oh my. Let's see here. I think we have Wayne McRoy standing by. Let's see if I can raise the man here. Let's see. Going a little nutty here. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Wayne McRoy of Alchemical Tech Revolution. Are you with me, my friend?
I am here.
Outstanding. You did not leave when you heard the white boy gospel coming out.
Absolutely not. I'm as white could be myself.
Yeah, right.
Too, so.
I am hideously white myself. I got
Whiter than sour cream.
Yes. Spicy mayo. White. Oh, dear. All right, my friend. Welcome to actually episode 20 for us. 20 times we've done this. And people keep coming. I don't know why. No, I did you see my note? I wanted to get in deep today. I heard a few things this week, and I started thinking about things. And I said, hey, why not jump into the big difference between Christianity and other forms of looking at this, which is called soteriology. Are you up for it?
I am up for that, definitely. That talks about salvation and what, the terms of salvation would be.
It is. That's what...
And what it means in different belief systems.
That is right. In fact, even there is a difference even between Catholicism and Protestantism. Shouldn't be any surprise there. Well, let's break that...
What a shocker.
Right? Let's break that word down a bit. Soteriology, the understanding of soteria, or salvation, right? To be saved. And what does it mean to be saved? And what are you getting saved from? The great boogeyman in the sky? What's happening here? This is stuff that has confused and confounded people throughout time. And especially, this is where it kind of gets, I think, a little bit tricky, because I know both you and I and Ceiling Fan Man and others who have a relationship directly with their creator all kind of tend to eschew religion a little bit, if not be very reticent toward it. And so now we're getting into theology, theological ideas, and dogma. And so it's like, what are we doing here? I would reiterate before we even begin that it is all based in the relationship with your creator. But there are... They're extras. I think so. This is what we're going to get into, and I think I'll just set it up here, and I'll tee it up, and then I'll let you take a big swing at it, Wayne. Which is this: most people have this idea about the world, right? Is if I try to do no harm, take no shit. If the things that I do that are positive generally outweigh the negative, and if I don't intentionally harm anyone, that is good enough. And it seems like a reasonable idea. Wayne, what
Right.
say you?
I say, yes, that's what that it sounds like. It's salvation through works. See, and most religious systems within this world actually teach based upon that whole philosophy, that you are saved through your good works, and if your good works outweigh your bad works, then you will find salvation and everlasting life, or you'll do better the next time around in this place.
And let's clarify that
believe.
Salvation, right? So, so that means being saved. So, what are we getting saved from?
It's redemption. It's return to right relationship with our Creator.
Oh, now you're just throwing word salad at me. Come on.
I love word salad
with a little blue cheese dressing. Not bad. Some heirloom tomatoes. I'm in. No. Okay. So redemption. All right. Explain.
Well, see, in the Christian tradition, we're in a fallen state. We've all been born into this world because of and through the original sin of Adam, when you go back and look at the story. So this world has been corrupted. God created it perfect, and the actions of Adam and Eve in the garden, and this is, you could take the story any way you want, whether you believe it's allegory
Okay,
or
what
whatnot.
if I don't? What if I say that's an allegorical message about the Creator keeping us from information, tree of knowledge, right?
Right.
And then didn't
That's
huh?
that's one of the approaches that other people and other religious systems and philosophical systems take.
I'm playing
Is
the
they
I'm playing the serpent's advocate here, right? So hey, what if I just said I don't accept that? I go, I don't like the idea of original sin. I don't like it. I didn't do it, and didn't the Creator try to keep us from information? Didn't He try to keep us dumb and say you can't eat the tree of knowledge or you'll die? Like, what's that about? Right, and then he did, and he wants to kill us because we tried to get smart. What's up with that? Come on,
Yeah, and you
man.
could see that argument being made, from like many of these different systems and doctrines and things. But when it comes down to it, basically, there's two basic premises here you could look at, and the one is that we can be reunited with what we would call the Spirit of God, or oneness, atonement, at one-ment with God, either through works or just through faith. And this has always been a great divide among people. And this is one of the things that is a challenge to anybody who looks at these religious type systems, or looks at the whole premise behind all of it. Now, you could make the argument, okay, well, I don't buy that whole story. Or, you could look at it from the other side. And this is where a lot of the secret societies look at it from. They look at it as the side of the argument that you're conveying right here. They're playing the devil's advocate, or however you want to say that phrase, and say, okay, well, God kept us prisoner in the Garden of Eden and kept knowledge from us. And he didn't want us to have that knowledge because, then that would throw him off of his throne. So he tried to keep that knowledge from us. And so now we've got that knowledge through the interference of the serpent in the garden, and we were given that gift of knowledge, and now God wants to kill us because he's jealous.
Okay, well,
and that's the argument that's held
that
up by
is
the
kind of
secret
the
society.
argument, and let's look a little deeper at that, right? So Fox Bear in the chat says, "Hey, Adam did that, not me, not you, right? Why are we being held accountable for it?" These are all, I think, points of view that have come up numerous times, and I think you put a fine point on it when you said there is a difference. So no matter as many different people as there are and have been, there's been, I think, probably that many views of the nature of why we're here, the nature of what goes on behind the veil, and how to do this. But ultimately, it does seem to come down to two primary viewpoints. And the one is, as you said, what we would call salvation through works, or that is based on what you do, right? That is accounted to you. That's all added up, right? And as Father Guido Sarducci used to say, right? That's where you come in, and you have to for every sin, he would say you get the. How did he put it? You get the penalized. You have to. It's a fee for every sin, right? So murder, that's a big one. It's like $100,000. He's like, and then then you have a small sins, right? You can lie. It's like $5. Masturbation, it's a cheap sin. It's like 35 cents, but it can add up, right? Like a 35, a 35, a 35. But when you die, you go down this long tunnel. This is the way he tells it. You go down this long tunnel, and there you meet St. Peter, and you start out with $1 million, and then at the end. You have to pay for your sins. You heard this expression, pay for your sins. And then if you have any money left, then you get to go in. But if you sin it too much, then, over $1 million, then you go to hell. And he has that's a terrible dream. He keeps coming up at 35 cents short. Okay, that's a joke. But that is not that far away from what many worldviews teach. Right, even the idea that you weigh your soul versus a feather, and if if your soul is lighter than a feather, you get to go in. And again, these ideas seem to make sense. But here's the story as I understand it. Right, and this is. Again, now we're getting into some weird stuff here. This comes into kind of Christian dogma, and I don't want to get too weighed down with this, but there is a story that comes into play here, and that is the nature of your enemy. And we keep saying that this is a spiritual battle, right? It's a spiritual contest and a battle for your heart and mind and your soul, really, ultimately. So what is this thing about, original sin, and why does it matter? And again, as Foxbear said, I didn't do it. Why am I responsible for this? Right. So let's go back to the beginning. Keep in mind that was not the tree of knowledge. It's the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And what it ultimately did is it put man in the place of God to judge the difference between right and wrong. That's what God said, right? He said, now that they've eaten it and become as one of us, knowing good from evil. But we didn't necessarily know the difference. We just claimed to know. We took the place of God. And then we begin to judge others and ourselves and even God. All right, to say this is good and that's bad. We begin to judge. But this argument had been going on before, and if we back up to what the story that we told about the nature of our adversary, who would not submit to showing obeisance and approbation to man as the mini-me of God, as the steward of this place, right? He gave us the keys to the kingdom. And as the highest of all the creations from Dad, and he was actually one of the covering angels, is what we're told. He was in the very presence of the Most High Creator God and refused to obey. And that refusal cost him his position and ultimately his life. And so his argument then is, if you give us free will and we choose not to obey and we die, is that free will? Right? That's enslavement. And so that's been the argument ever since. But he's also played this argument of saying, if death is required for rebellion, anyone who rebels must cost a life. And ultimately, that is why there has been blood sacrifice ever since the beginning. It is not God punishing us. It is the adversary accusing us. He requires, to make things fair, this is the law. If the law is that we die for disobedience, then everyone who disobeys must die. Here's the problem. This disobedience causing death, it's the same as murder. And what we're told in Scripture is if you break one of the laws, you've broken all of them, ultimately because you've committed murder. If you kill yourself, if you choose to unplug from the power and then choose death, you have chosen. So there is no statute of limitations. That's the problem. Can any of us say that we have not chosen intentionally wrong at least once in our life? I think anybody would be hard-pressed to say no, that they have not at one point or another chosen to do something they knew to be the wrong thing that was self-interested and potentially harmful to others, that we knew we were doing wrong. Just that one time puts you under condemnation. You cannot work your way out of it. There is nothing you can pay. There is no price you can pay other than death. That's the problem. That's why you need salvation. That's why you need a Savior. And that's the promise that Jesus made, and that's the purpose that he came for and died for, was to fulfill the requirement of blood. And then all you have to do is accept it and say, yeah, I'll take that payment, right? Rather than me having to do it myself. And that's the primary difference between the way, as in following Jesus, not just his teachings, but accepting his gift, versus any other way, which is to try to, work off karma through one life or multiple lives, right? To gather for yourself all the power, and he who has the most wins. There's that game. All of these ways ultimately lead to one place. You can't pay the debt. Right? You've already made, the debt was already made. And the thing about original sin is it just bent your heart away from Dad. That's all. Right? It wasn't until it's not really held over you. You're just under the curse. But when you begin making those actions, it's already done. You can't get out of it. Once you're already poisoned. There's no way out. There's nothing to be done for it except an antidote. And there is only one antidote that I know of. Right? Now, that having been said, people get all upset about, well, does that mean anybody who doesn't choose Jesus dies? Well, that's what he said. He said, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. But he also said, I have other sheep that are not of this fold. He said, I don't come to condemn the world, but to save it. It's up to Dad. He gets to choose. And there are people, may have other ways. I don't know. But here's my take on it, is if he claims for sure that there's a way out, right, and he's offered me that way, it would be not only stupid of me, but it would be offensive to my Creator for all that I know that he risked and gave to say, no, I'll do it myself. And that's for me. Again, I'm not putting that on anybody else. I've been saying that's how I see it. That's my experience, is having met the Creator and understanding the story the way that I do, that they risked their own existence to save us. It is on me to accept that, right? It's what I do with that information, and then I choose to accept the gift. And that is, as far as I can see, the only real means of reconciliation.
Well said. I don't think I could describe much better how this whole situation works than what you just laid down there. What I can add, though, is the 10 commandments and the other commandments and stuff put forward in the Bible. See, this is kind of used as a measuring stick for people to understand. I've sinned, because nobody.
It's a great way to put it.
Nobody has ever really been able to live that flawless life except for one, and that was Jesus. So that's the whole key right there.
Yeah, look what we did to him.
We in our finite human existence, our limited mentality and stuff here, we cannot abide by those commandments in our own power. And that's the thing. I mean, we've all sinned and fallen short of the glory of God, and that is ultimately why we need this free gift.
Yep.
And that's the thing. It could only be a free gift of God because of this whole situation with the fallen angelic powers and stuff like that. That was part of the laws and stuff that were laid down in the beginning here for man, was that in order for us to actually give our love to God, in order to love God, we have to be able to have choice, right?
Yep.
When you look at it that way. Because is it really love if somebody's forced to love you?
Nope.
Like, you can't really force that. It's not something that's forcible. There has to be an option. There has to be a choice. So in order for us to have that choice, that's kind of why we have the whole problem of original sin.
Sure. The
is
possibility
it
exists.
comes with making choices.
Yes, the possibility exists that you will say no, and it has to be there.
Right.
Yeah.
It has to be that way, because otherwise it's not truly love. See? And that's an important thing for people to realize. And it's hard to put your head around sometimes, because people would ask, well, why would a loving God let all these bad things go on? Well, see, that's not the point. These bad things are here because of the choices of men. And sometimes the choices of other men will affect you, you see. And this is a very generational thing as well. Things that your ancestors have done will affect you in one way, shape, or form. Just think of it in terms of, we're here in North America for the most part, most of us listening right now. Well, why are we here? Because our ancestors, by and large, traveled here from other places and settled down here. So see, their actions during their lifetime affect us now, later. And this is the same thing when it applies to just different things like sin and good works and stuff as well, because those things could affect your ancestors down the line, or your descendants down the line.
Well, let's talk about for a moment that word sin, and what it means. There's a couple of different words that are used in the original Greek. The one that we're most familiar with was translated from a word called hamartia, which is a hunting reference. It's actually from archery, and it means missing the mark. Right? You aimed at a target and you missed. There are other words that translate from a bad deed. Right? You choose to do a bad deed, but that's not the primary word that's used in the New Testament to describe sin. And so let's talk about that. Is sin evil? What does that look like, right? So to me, there's a couple of different ways to look at this, and there's a few ways that are described in Scripture. Again, that comes into one word, sin, in English, and it's kind of like love, right? There are 14 different words for love implied in Greek, and about 6 of which we use primarily between agape, and which is kind of a brotherly love, right, and eros, which is like sexual love. There's a variety of different ways to describe it. But there's 3 primary things that I see. One is sin, as in you're living in sin, or a condition that is someone who enjoys the darkness, right? And you kind of know those people, right? They love it. They love debauchery. A libertine, right? So a condition of being separate from God. And then there is a sin, as in a choice. You choose to rebel. right? You make that. And then there is a sin, the hamartia, which is the most one we use, which is basically just falling short. Your arrow came up short. You tried, but your try wasn't quite good enough, right? Because we're broken and we fail. And that is, to me, kind of connected to the first one, which is the condition. We're broken. As Wayne said earlier, right? This is the way that I see the world. He is not evolved from nothingness into what we have now, but it is perfection broken. It is everything appears to be perfectly designed, but messed up somehow. Something came in and messed it up. And so when we get to this, I align the sin nature, and I've said this before, right? That sin is essentially, to me, the sin nature is aligned with fear. Right? That love is the very nature of who God is, and the opposite of love is not hatred, but fear. And the first thing, the only emotion that a newborn baby can experience in its entirety is fear. And therefore, and most of our decisions and even, quote, sins are based out of fear. We behave from a place of fear, and fear is how they control us. And so, to me, I mean, the very first thing that happens, right, in Genesis chapter 2, right, Adam and Eve eat the forbidden fruit. God shows up, and what's the first thing they do? They run away. and Dad says, "Hey, Adam, where are you?" And he said, "I was afraid. I was naked, and I was afraid." Right? I knew that I was naked, and I was afraid. The very first thing was fear. He ran away. Right? And so, to me, that is the immediate outcome. These two things that happen with the tree of knowledge of good and evil is first you believe that you know right from wrong, and you become the judge. And the second thing is that you become fearful. And those two things lead to a variety of evils.
Absolutely, they do. And you could always look at it through the more simplistic view. The word sin, if you look at sin in one of the Romance languages, like, say, Spanish or French, or going back to
Without.
Latin and
Yeah.
various other, right, sin means without, and that would be without God, without the divine. So that's what this is. It's a separation. Sin is just separation, further separation from God. Or when you look at it in the terms of choices, you're choosing the negative consequence or the negative choice, what would be considered the negative. It's kind of a polarity kind of thing as well. The step away from God as to opposed to the step towards God.
Right. And
in
into
the different
darkness.
behaviors.
Yeah. And embracing darkness as opposed to stepping out of the darkness and into the light.
Absolutely. And, that's kind of a perfect allegorical way to look at it when you look at the context of what the word means, and looking, at the different language origins and stuff of it. And many of the ancient languages are a lot fuller than our English language.
Absolutely.
We've lost so much depth of meaning in many of these things, and that's why we have mistranslations and like misinterpretations of different things. So even, this inspired word that we read in, people will interpret it differently, and different translations will translate it differently, and that allows for misinterpretations among people. And that's one of those things where it kind of creates a gray area, but you'll know in your heart whether something's right or wrong, especially if you have that right relationship with Dad.
Yep, and that's the first place that I always go, right, is that it is not right living that leads you into relationship. It is relationship that leads you into right living. There is no cleaning up first, or, I'll get more in tune with Dad, and then I'll try that relationship. No, he knows just what and who and where you are, and it is that relationship that will lead you into right living. And you used the word atonement earlier, right? And I've heard it said, as you have described it, at one meant, right, to bring into consistency. But the original word, I mean, again, not to challenge, but just to expand on it, the original word atonement is the same root of tone that you would get tonal. It is frequency. You're getting in the sympathetic frequency with God because you're out of tune. You are right now. We are out of tune with the Creator. And we have learned so much about frequency and resonance and vibration and how things must resonate together. We see it in our own lives and our relationships. And we say the vibe draws the tribe. These things are all true. But it is coming into the same frequency with the Creator. Atonement, right? You become toned to the same frequency, and then you respond to it. And this is what we see all around us, and I can see this daily, is that those who are in the right frequency are drawn to one another, and those who are in a cacophonic frequency, right, atonal, they hate it, right? And they are pushed away from it, just like the polarity, right? They're pushed away from it. So exactly, Platus, it's harmony versus cacophony. That's exactly it, and you could visualize it very well with wave theory.
Absolutely. And just to add to what you're saying, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. See, this whole existence has been spoken into existence
Absolutely.
through that tone, that initial tone. It's all frequency and vibration. And even Tesla has said, if you want to understand how this world operates, you have to think in terms of frequency and vibration. And that's true. I mean, just go read
Genesis 1. And the first thing he
Genesis
spoke
1.
it, right? And God said, let there be light.
Yep, and God said.
And then you go to John chapter 1. I mean, this just ties together so well. God said, let there be light, and there was light. And in John chapter 1, the light came into the world, and the darkness perceived it not. I love it. I love that description. The darkness could not understand.
Right. And that's another thing people need to understand, too. The way that light operates, our science completely misdescribes to us. It operates pretty much in the same way as sound. And it is actually an EMF frequency.
Yep.
Our visible spectrum of light.
Yep.
It all operates the same. The only difference is the medium. Now, sound travels through the medium of air, whereas light travels through the medium of ether. Mm-hmm. So when God spoke and said, let there be light, he spoke into the ether and into the air.
Yep. So
at the same time.
Right.
It's
so
this whole place.
transverse versus longitudinal waves. But when you look at electromagnetism as a continuous medium, electricity and magnetism work on the same axis, but across one's transverse, one's longitudinal. It's at right angles. And you can see it. This is exact. I mean, it is so tied in to all these things that we talk about. And I would say it's very easy to see when you look at this pretty closely how and why darkness tried to steal it and make magic out of it, right? It's the same manifestation of will, only without God, right? It's using supernatural help from darkness to manifest your will, where instead what Jesus did in manifesting miracles is simply to put his will in exactly the same vibration, frequency as Dad. He said, I tell you the truth, I only do what I see my Father do, and I can do nothing without the Father. He put himself into the same frequency as Dad, right, and manifested it. So whether that's walking on water, whether that's saying, peace, be still, to the wind and the waves, and the disciples went, who is this? That even the wind and the waves obey him, right? I've described this before. These miracles did not break the laws of physics. He simply called into existence a greater law, right? If when you have a lighter sitting on the table, right, it sits there because of it has mass and the friction, right? It sits there because of mass. But when you pick it up, it's not magic, right? What you did is you just called into effect a greater law. You put a greater force on it, and you overcame its mass and its friction. Well, Jesus did the same thing, right? He spoke into existence something that was greater, right? And he brought love and light into the world, and the world could not perceive it. It did whatever he said. Even the demons obeyed, right? They could not obey him. Right, and this is the beauty, and this is why he said, "I tell you the truth. Whatever I do, you'll do greater still." Right, because if you get into the frequency and the vibration with your close relationship with Dad, you will respond. The more time you spend with him, the more your heart begins to beat with his. The more in tune and in vibration you'll get, and you'll shine his love out. But you'll also manifest his love in this world. Right, and that makes you a supernatural super warrior.
And here's the other part of that goes along with that. Everything that's set up in our world today is in antithesis to the natural order. See, and this is what you were just describing there. the natural law, the natural order. Everything we do in our civilization is in antithesis to that. We do work against nature. We use destructive technologies,
Right, explosive,
versus
explosions,
implosives, things based on explosions versus something
implosion,
that would work.
Vortex,
implosion technology.
Exactly.
Many of these other things, we use stuff that is completely counter to what the natural world already manifests. And if we were in tune with that natural world and utilized those natural energies, we would be able to do so much more. And that's the whole point right there. When you're not in tune with that whole natural frequency per se, and you're in tune with the antithesis of that, whereas everything you do is counter to that, it creates, the situation where we're at right now, where this world is in disbalance. It is perfection, and it is perfection broken. Like you spoke.
But it's exactly what we're told, be in the world, but not of it, right? It's a perfect example that we are in this world, but we're operating at a different frequency. That's it, right? That's the way it is. And Jesus also said, this is why the world is going to hate you. Right? If you follow me, the world hated me because you're in the world, not of the world. If you follow me, they're going to hate you just the same way. Don't be surprised, right? And don't be discouraged because people don't like you. Right now, everything is coming to manifestation. The veil is coming down, and people are revealing themselves. And you can see it. If you just pay attention, give people long enough, they will show you who they are. Right? They'll show you exactly what and who they are. You'll see it. And so when the world begins to hate you, don't be discouraged. That means you're doing good. I joked. I said yesterday that I hadn't gotten one of those context tags on my channel, and as soon as I said it, I got a Q tag. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. Oh my gosh. Anyway. But yeah, the light hates the darkness, or darkness hates the light, and because it exposes everything that is in the darkness. Secret societies love the darkness. People who do things that are evil, they love the darkness because they could do it in secret, right? So
no, they claim they're all about the light, though, Baldini. That's the thing.
Yeah.
But in my view, if you love the light, wouldn't everything you do be visible in the light of day?
Absolutely.
Like, think about that. It's counterintuitive to what they talk about, and that's kind of the thing. It's really kind of disingenuous when you look at it. It's completely counter to what they say. They talk a good game in a lot of different ways with this stuff and try to sound righteous, but the righteousness of men is as filthy rags.
That's just what I read
the Lord.
Just what I read this morning from Proverbs 28:1. The wicked flee when no one pursues, but the righteous are as bold as a lion. If everything that you do is above board, then you have no fear. But when you have to hide everything in the darkness, there's a big red flag. Right.
Precisely. And it comes down to, even Jesus said in the Bible, he said, in secret have I taught you nothing. And that's the whole crux of, what I stand upon when it comes to like these secret societies and these Gnostic teachings and all of this stuff. If Jesus didn't teach it in secret, which he did not, he didn't teach in secret, although many of these secret societies claim he had all sorts of secret initiations, and he taught many of these things in secret, and all of this, and he was part of their orders and all of this stuff. That's not the case. He's even come out and said there's a reason he said that, and it goes just beyond the context of the verse in the chapter that it was in.
Luke 8.
It goes beyond that.
Luke 8, he says, no one lights a lamp and covers it up with a jar or puts it under a bed, right? Instead, you set it on a stand so that those who enter can see the light. He said, there's nothing hidden that will not be disclosed and nothing concealed that will not be made known and brought to light. He said it clearly.
Absolutely.
That's the words of Jesus, right? Couldn't be more clear than that. He said, nothing is hidden that won't be made manifest, and nobody, I'm not telling you this so you can hide it away and keep it secret, right? You put it right out there in the open. And this is what I say all the time, right? Matthew 10 says the same thing. Don't be afraid of them. There's nothing concealed that will not be disclosed and nothing that's hidden that will not be made known. He said the same thing in Mark and Luke, right? It's in every one of the Gospels that he says this, right? So he's telling you very clearly this is not going to be some secret knowledge. message, right? He's saying it's right out there in the open, and this is what I tell everybody all the time. You don't get it from me, right? Go straight to Dad. I can help point you in the right direction, but I will always say go straight to Dad. He's not going to lie to you.
Right. Absolutely. And I think we are in those times right now where all these hidden things are going to come to the light of day and be seen by all. And that's exactly what's going on. That's part of the whole process of revelation. See,
Yep.
all these things are being revealed. And, now more so than ever in these times that we're in, we're seeing all these dark things revealed now for what they are. And it's world shaking for some people.
Yep.
And for other people, they kind of slough it off and fall back into their little trance because it causes them some cognitive dissonance. So rather than come to terms with the uncomfortable fact that everything they thought they knew, they don't. So rather than come to terms with that and try to relearn again and figure out what's what and see the truth for what it is, they would rather just play along with whatever narrative they're handed by those people in positions of power that control things and play along with it just so that they could go about their comfortable little day, with their few little creature comforts and maybe be a little entertained and eat something and just get by to the next day and try and live their life as comfortably as they can. But, when we see all these things going on around us, now's not the time to fall back into that little trance and to go try and hide away in your home and do nothing in response to it and ignore it and hope that it goes away, because it's not going away. That's why we need to be bold as lions and stand out and speak out on these things, not, go cower in our home and sit in front of the TV and await further instructions from the enemy of our soul. Think about that. That's what's going on right now in a nutshell.
Yeah,
and we have to be bold and go out and speak out against these things and let people know this is what's going on and just shine the light in the places where the people are afraid to look and direct their eyes to it. And that's all we could do. That's our mandate at this point.
Yeah. Ecclesiastes says that God will bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil, right? So he's going to bring it out. And again, a recommendation, at least my goal is to have those things be to the positive, right? Because it also says in Revelation that when he comes, he'll give to everyone according to what you've done. All right, so I'm hoping to be on the positive end of that, and it may seem again to some degree that then we're talking circuitously, because at the beginning we said it's not a matter of what you do, right, but who you know. But once you get into relationship with the Creator, right, then your works or what you do will come out of that, right? And so I've said many times, if love is not the motive, God is not involved. Right? God is pure and only love. And so once you begin to behave from love, all those actions will be indicative of him. And so when he says, I will give it to you according to what you've done, because your behavior will reveal what's in your heart. Jesus said, it is from the abundance, the overflow of a man's heart that come his works, whether for good or for evil, right? So whatever you do, it's a reflection. Just like I was saying this morning, this is what I've given, the advice I gave to my kids about dating, is ignore what they say and look at what they do. Right? Give them enough time. They'll reveal themselves. Anybody can say anything. Look at what they do, right? And watch very closely. And you will indeed find the truth in their behavior.
You can know a tree by its fruits. That's another absolutely true biblical saying there.
Absolutely.
And that's pointing to exactly what you're saying. You'll know through their actions what their motivations are and who they are.
Yeah, I was just kind of, hang on a second, where am I? I wanted to come back here and looking at this.
Worry not, ladies and gentlemen, we're trained professionals.
We are trained professionals, so yeah.
Professional what's, we're not sure yet, but we're professionals.
Exactly.
For sure.
When the going gets weird, the weird turn pro. That's that's what that's the way we do it around here. But the what I was basically looking for here is Okay, that's what I was looking for right there.
Okay, found it.
Found it. Yep. Took me a minute because I skipped. I thought I was about 2 chapters off. Again, I just want to pop in 1 Corinthians 13 because so many people, when we talk about love, right? So many people are looking for love in all the wrong places. But we say this over and over. We use this word, and in English, there's only one word for it. Like I said, there's like 14 different variations in Greek, about 6 of which are the primary words that get used in Scripture. But there's a variety of words that talk about affection, right? Different kinds of love. But this is such a great, we have poor examples of love from our parents and what's around us. And it is it's my observation that only when you come into relationship with the Creator can you know what true love is. And this is a great description. It's 1 Corinthians chapter 13. That if I speak with the tongue of men and angels but don't have love, I'm only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have faith that can move mountains but do not have love, I'm nothing. If I give everything I own to the poor and even give my body over to be burned but don't have love, I gain nothing. This is the really good stuff here. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. 1 Corinthians 13. I don't think any of us have, with the exception of the relationship directly with the Creator, experienced that in its fullness. Many of my romantic relationships were frankly anything but, right? The exact opposite of these things in many cases, because that's what the world has taught us, right? That love is what we can get. And what I've discovered is that really it is about giving and your ability to receive love, but that's how you give it. Again, the last verse, 1 Corinthians 13:13, and now these 3 remain, faith, hope, and love, but the greatest of these is love. So,
Indeed.
if you want to just write...
That's powerful stuff.
It is, man. If you want to have that one cross-stitch up and put on a throw pillow, you could have worse things you could read. That's for sure. Like anything from... Agenda 21. That's
not love, folks.
Compare those and see which one is love, right? Look at the description for what a controlling, abusive relationship is, and then look at what your government's been doing, and see if they don't word for word match the very textbook description of an abusive relationship. Just saying.
All right. And there's so many salient points just in that verse and that scripture right there. He's talking about the only thing that really does it is love. That's the whole bottom line. You could have everything, and if you don't have love, it's worthless. And even this is attributed to St. Paul. Paul is the one attributed with writing 1 Corinthians here, and I would like to point out that he says, if I have the gift of prophecy and I can fathom all mysteries, he's talking about the mystery schools there, folks. He was an initiate of the highest order. He was an adept of the highest order. He was one of what they would call the Pharisees.
Said so explicitly.
Yeah. Or equivalent. Yes. And see, so he was part of these secret initiatic orders. He was one of the high muckety-mucks within those different groups. He knew all mysteries, and he's admitting that here. And knowing all that, he says, without love, knowing that stuff is worthless. So you could see what's really important here. If you understand that God is love, and without love, nothing else matters, then, you could see that even somebody who's sought out these secret knowledges and things like that, or these supposed secret knowledges and this occult knowledge, all that amounts to nothing in the end if you don't know the Lord and you don't have the love of God in your life. So that's something to keep in mind. And he goes on here in this verse to describe what love is. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy, does not boast. It's not proud. It's not rude or disrespectful of people. It's not self-seeking. It's not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. But where there's prophecies, they will cease. Where there are tongues, they will be stilled. Where there is knowledge, it will pass away. We know in part and we prophesy in part, but when perfection comes, the imperfect disappears. When I was a child, I talked like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I put childish things behind me. Now we see but a poor reflection in a mirror, darkly. Then we shall see face to face. Now I know in part. Then shall I know fully, even as I am fully known. So see that this a lot of important ideas just encapsulated in this verse. And this is what love does. Love brings everything to light. And that's what's going to happen. And right now, the imperfect, broken world we live in, the broken perfection, we see things as in a mirror darkly. We don't have the full view of how things really happen here and how they really work in the spiritual ramification of things. So, but when we come to that perfect love and when we ultimately meet with our Creator, whichever way that goes down, whether we, see the end of our days here on earth or whether he comes again for his children, like it talks about in the second coming kind of an idea, or whichever way it happens, when we come face to face with our Creator, then we will know. We'll have that. We'll be able to see clearly. Right now, we see as in a mirror darkly. So we see just reflections of these spiritual aspects of things right now. And, that's due to our finite human existence and our human brain. We can only perceive so much. We only understand so much. But when we meet with the Creator and we're restored with Him, then we'll have full understanding of these things. And I find that to be a comfort because, bad things happen to good people. That's a fact of life. It rains on the just and the unjust.
Yeah.
So,
I think I want to speak directly to that and put all this together this way. There are a number of folks that I speak to regularly, some that I speak to irregularly or with less frequency, some that I mean to, and then sometimes things happen and get in my way, but all things in their time. But I see a number of people in our community, even in our chat right now, who are struggling with a variety of things, and they have been for a while. Here is my challenge to you. Right? One of the things that I know for sure, which are very, very few things that I know for sure, but one of the things that I do know for sure is that that Dad is good. I know that, and that He loves us. But also that many of the things He said we can trust. And one of those things is that it is better to give than to receive. I know from experience and from observation that one of the quickest ways to see your circumstances in a different light is to look at someone else's. Right? Many times when I get discouraged with my situation, and then I look around and see the trials and tribulations that others are going through, I go, okay, I'm sorry, I'm a wimp. Here's my suggestion and my encouragement to you. If you are struggling right now and you feel like you cannot make it, here's what I'm going to throw at you. Right? We talk about religion versus relationship, but this is what James 1:27 says: that religion that God accepts as pure and faultless is this: to look after orphans and widows in their distress, and to keep oneself from being polluted by the world. And so my encouragement is this: if you are struggling, find someone that you can help. Don't obsess over them. Don't make them your project. You can't fix people, but find someone you can help. And if you don't know, ask Dad to send you someone to help. I guarantee He will send you someone who needs help. Do that. And if that doesn't change your heart and give you a sense of purpose and immediately a sense of gratitude and love, then I can't help you further than that. Because everything that I have that is worth anything, Dad has given to me. Everything that I am that is of value only comes from my relationship with Dad, and I mean that. Of all the things that I did myself, those are worthless compared to what he has done through and with and for and to me. And so if you struggle, if you are having the worst time of your life right now and you can't find any way out, I encourage you strongly, find someone that you can help. And even if it doesn't change your heart, which I pretty much guarantee it will, you will have helped someone. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? So this is my encouragement to you, is to find a person that you can help, even a little bit, helping somebody cross the street. Just, make sure that they want to cross the street first, right? So again, hear me carefully. I'm saying don't try to make someone a project. Don't obsess over them. Don't try to be their knight in shining armor hero, but ask Dad what you can do to help and to show you someone that you can give encouragement to and help. And I assure you, it will change your heart, if not your life. It may turn you around completely. That is my encouragement, is to give to others. You will find that even when, in fact, especially when you feel like you have nothing to give, when you give it to somebody else, it will come back to you tenfold. And so even if that is feeling like you have to take your hands off the very cliff that you're hanging on to for dear life, when you take your hands off that and you stop grasping and you open your hands to help someone else, you will find the gifts beyond compare landing in your hands. I don't make challenges very often, but that's one I think I can make. It will change your life. So if you are struggling right now with things you think you cannot bear, right? Look for someone to help. And if you cannot find them, ask for Dad. See, I'm talking to you. If you feel like nobody cares, I'm saying I care, but reach out to others. You will find it miraculous. Prove it wrong.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's definitely good advice. I try to be very grateful for the things that I do have, and I try to count all the very good things in my life, even and especially when I'm having like a rough day or something, or going through a rough time. I like to try and keep an eye on, what are the positive aspects of my life, and sometimes there's no better way to achieve that or to understand that than helping somebody else, because we're all here. We all have our struggles, and there's people who have it a lot worse than us. Like whoever you are and whatever you're struggling through, there's somebody who's got it worse. And maybe even you could do something small just to help somebody, even in a small way. Sometimes that makes all the difference for somebody. So if you can make somebody else's day better just by offering what little you have to give, it gives you a better perspective on yourself as well. You have to count your blessings. I mean, I know it sounds very much, like kind of a hokey kind of a thing to say, but like you have to count your blessings, because, if you don't keep tabs on all the positives you got going on for yourself, well, that gets pretty depressing quick if you're only focused on the negative all the time.
There is absolutely confirmation bias, and whatever you're looking for, you will find. And if you're looking for trouble in your life, you will find it. If you are looking for things to be grateful for, you will find it. If you're looking for blue cars, you will find blue cars.
Right, absolutely, and that's the truth of the matter. Whatever you look for, you're going to find it. So if you're only focusing on the negative or looking at the bad things, that's what's going to manifest more in your life. But if you're trying to see, okay, well, what are the good things in my life? Well, those things will start to manifest more as well. And like Baldini said, there's nothing wrong with helping somebody else, and it gives you a better perspective on things oftentimes. Because, there's people, everybody needs help once in a while with something, even if it's something small. And if you could help somebody out in whatever way that you have to offer to them, then, why not do it? There's no harm in doing it. Be kind to each other. Let's be good to each other. That could change the world if we all just step up and, show some care and concern for one another. and try and help each other in whatever ways we can, because we all have different gifts and abilities. So one person may give in a different way than another, but whatever it is that you have to give or to offer, and everybody has something, just keep that in mind. There's nobody here that's, doesn't have some type of a skill or ability or something that could help somebody else. We all have something to that effect, and we need to just, step up and be kind and love one another. Be good to your neighbors, be good to your friends, be good to those in your community. Even, a stranger, sometimes all they need is a kind word that could make somebody's day. It's just little things oftentimes. But if we take the time to really look, and if we see a need that needs to be met, and we have the ability to meet that need, we should absolutely do so. I live by pretty much just one simple concept in my life, one simple guiding premise. If you know something's the right thing to do, do it. Yeah. That's it.
And that's, in fact, that is what you're saying is exactly what I touched on during the Unintended Consequences podcast yesterday for part of housekeeping, right, is to this very thing. Find your skill, right, your gift, and use that, right? So reach out to others. If this is a time that we need to help one another, and so find your gift, and it may not be creating content, or it may not be painting, or art, or doing get-togethers, right? Or it may be cooking, it may be sewing, it may be giving just a kind word to somebody else. So, there you go. I will say this, that it is, the world has been pushing for the idea of glorification of victimization, and a race to see who can be the biggest victim. Don't fall into that trap. It's not going to help you. It's not going to help you. I'll leave it there. Don't be in the world, but not of it. So don't wear the same clothes they do. Don't use the same tools that they use if you can help it. Don't use that as a manipulation. I have seen, for example, just about every case of Bubba Wallace, Jesse Smollett, almost every single one of those situation is self-instigated. They are simply trying to be the biggest victim, and it doesn't work. So, there you go. And I agree, Marky Rowe, it is difficult to communicate with people who are still asleep. Absolutely. And this is why at this time, again, I'm doing what I can to get out of this matrix, if you will, get out of the beast system as much as I'm able. I know that many people are not, but if you are able, this is, again, what I choose to do is to try to find a community of like-minded people to join up with and to live communally until they remove even that opportunity. And it seems as though they're doing it with greater intensity and greater rapidity. But we're going to do the best we can. But I do understand, and I think, I've said before, this is, let your light so shine before men, right? If you have the opportunity through being not afraid that you can influence other people, great. But it feels to me like we are at we've reached a kind of a society crossing the Rubicon, if you will, that it's like if you don't get it at this point, you may not. And I don't know what to say. I don't want to give up on people, but right now I feel like the focus for me has got to be on helping this community as best I can, rather than trying to bring others into it. Now, again, there may be still other people whose that is your purpose, is to bring other people into it. So don't let me deter you if that's what you feel that you're being called to do, is to help bring others into it. But for me, I know that I feel strongly led to try to create or at least help facilitate a situation where the like-minded can get together and do as best we can outside the system. So again, I know that maybe beating a dead horse or unnecessarily flogging a mortality challenged equine American. but yeah, that's what I'm looking for right now. And if you're interested in that, of course, send me an email. All the contact stuff is in the. I think that most people who are interested in that probably have already contacted me already. We have a pretty good group of people. We're going to start soon having conversations more about that as we kind of help better clarify what that looks like. But anyway, don't lose heart, I guess is what I'm saying, if you can. But don't be histrionic either. Okay, that's my that's my advice. If I have any words of wisdom, is go to Dad first. If anybody lacks wisdom, let them ask. And Dad, who gives to everyone generously, will not withhold. So ask Dad, and there you go. Coming to the top of the hour, I'm going to keep it short tonight. I know Bitches Brew is happening tonight as well. Don't want to get all up in their way, so you can go. What do we call it? Raid, a room raid. I'm not sure who's hosting it tonight, but I'm sure it's one of those folks. Does anybody know who's got the Bitches Brew going on? I don't. Do you know, Wayne, who's hosting it? Karen B.
No, I'm not sure. Is it Karen
Karen
tonight?
B. Let's see if I can copy it. Let's see, copy link address. So Karen B is watching that. She's got like 229, so our little tribe won't make much of a difference probably. They'll be like, what? Anyway, so there's that. Anyway, Bitches Brew, you can head over there. Any last words, Wayne? I'm gonna drop it off here in a moment. So if you got last words you want to add.
Yeah, man. The only thing I want to say is for people, don't be disheartened. I know these are tough, trying times that we're in, but don't lose hope. Don't lose faith. I have faith myself that there are still people that are, still buying into most of the mainstream narrative of things. But I see it as they could still be won over, because there's a lot of people who in times past I would have never thought would have questioned anything that are starting to question stuff now that I've seen in my life. So my advice to people is just be that beacon shining on the hill. Be a lighthouse. And all you have to do that is just be yourself and express what you know and what you think. And this will attract people, because at some point they're going to start to wonder, is there something to what this guy's saying that's true? Even though because they look around and they see all this chaos going on in the world around them, and nothing seems to add up for them anymore, and their cognitive dissonance starts to set in a little. And some of them, rather than just fall deeper into the slumber and try to ignore that stuff, it shakes them a little bit, especially when they see somebody saying something that resonates a little bit, that lines up with what they're seeing, and then they start to question more. And in so being this light on the hill, we could attract to us more of these people that are kind of on the outside. So that's kind of where I see where my path varies a little from Baldini's with this. I still try to reach these people because there's a lot of them out there, and I think they just need to see. And the best way we could do this is just by expressing what we know and just being out there and truthful with what it is and put it out there. It's not our job to draw people in. Our job is to put it out there, and the Holy Spirit will guide them in. So that's the encouragement I could offer for people. So if you're struggling with family members or friends that are still buying into all this nonsense that's going on in the world, don't give up hope. Just keep putting it out there, because at some point, something's going to resonate with them and hit them just right, and they're going to start to question things, and then they may come around.
Sure,
so
right. And again,
I just want to offer people that hope.
Sure, and again, I wouldn't say I'm not suggesting give up on people, right? I'm just saying that for me, my focus has shifted. But this is my encouragement to everybody is find what your focus should be, right? And then focus on that. And if you don't know, ask Dad, right? Find what your gift is and do that. Because I do have every, support for people who do try to spread that word. And but I think everybody's again got a thing. So if they do come in, then right, hopefully they'll meet someone like me or someone in our group who can encourage them, right, and come around them and say, hey, come on in, and make them feel welcome and comfortable, right, and support them when they're having those first set of questions. So, all right, 6:03 p.m. here on the West Coast. So I'm going to drop it one more time in the chat here. Again, not much of as Ceiling Fan Man said, not much of a raid if there were regulars, but we'll do it anyway. Let's see. Jack said, drop over there to the Bitches Brew with the FTFF hashtag. Sure, let's do that. I'll play some outro music here. I'll say good night now, Wayne, because I'll drop you before I hit the outro music. But we're all going to run over there and do a room raid and show our love to our friends over at the Bitches Brew. So good night, everybody. Thanks for coming in, and it's been a pleasure having you with us. And again, I'll drop a little tunage here, but then afterwards, or anytime you like. Oh, let's see. Let's not do that one. Let's do this one. We'll drop that one in. A little too much action, and we'll drop over to our friends at Bitches Brew. Say hi and FDFF to those folks. Guys, we'll see you on Tuesday for a little bit more of the Poppycock Report. That's at Rose 777 channel. Hope you guys have a great night, and we'll see you again soon. Visible streets will meet your sight, marking your pathway where solace resides. The solace is tempered with a burden of proof. The hearts are sincere and lips speak the truth. Your innocence is an endearing quality, but also serves as a warning to me. Never take more than you give. Never break what you cannot replace. Things easily shattered are best left untouched. So God help me learn not to love you too much. A twist of fate or a twist of the night, both means to an end in an unfulfilled life. You want and you need to beg and receive, but your gifts in return are few in between. Your promises empty, apologies old. Your words are impassioned, but your heart grows cold when you take more than you give. When you break what you cannot replace. Things easily shattered are best left untouched. So God help me learn not to love you too much. Gazing through tears at your emerald eyes, your reflection loses focus in an awkward goodbye. With you I'm at peace, but never at rest. For playing at love is as close as you get. But my hunger will never be satisfied. There's a hunger of the soul this time. Never take more than you give. Never break what you cannot replace. Things easily shattered are best left untouched. So God help me learn not to love